Do you believe you found the DNA of the perpetrator inside the house? Do you believe that at this point?
What I believe is, what I know is, we found DNA. And
that was not Nancy Guthrie's DNA?
That was not Nancy Guthrie's DNA. So we'll still work with that, and we're working with our lab on that.
Okay, this all happened overnight. Law enforcement swarming an area about just 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson in an operation tied to this investigation. The sheriff is telling Fox News today that there have been no arrests made. No one is in custody after this operation. For more on the forensics in this investigation, joining us now is the CyberGuy, Knutsson, and former special agent in charge for the ATF, Bernard Zapor. And Bernard, I will start with you. I want to pull up this map of the SWAT activity and the location so people have a good idea of where this happened in relation to Nancy Guthrie's home. It's within a 2-mile radius, Bernard. And this is kind of the 2-mile area that police have been asking for doorbell camera, for dash cam video, all the way like a month leading up to her disappearance. What are your observations after what happened overnight and this afternoon as we don't have anyone in custody?
You know, well, one thing is search warrant is a tool, and obviously they had enough information to develop an affidavit for probable cause to go in there and get evidence. And that was their objective. The same thing with the vehicle. So it's not necessarily expecting arrests unless the operation, if it was something other than a search warrant, like a hostage rescue, would have a different process to it and it'd be much more dynamic. And it'd be very obvious as to what was happening. In terms of the asking for the camera footage, obviously they have stuff that's feeding a possible timeline, a transition, and directly related to her possible transportation away from the home. And if people that were scouting possibly before any of this happened, because if they're asking for preceding video, that would lend one to believe that they're looking for commonalities in somebody in any kind of scouting activity.
Mm-hmm. And the video is incredibly important. I think it's the best piece of evidence they have, this doorbell camera video, Kurt. I want to play for you the soundbite from the CEO of Ring on why he thinks this is so critical. Watch.
Even with the destruction of the camera, they were able to then recover footage. And I don't want to speculate exactly like what happened or what subscription they had or whatever. I think there's a lot of probably information out there that we don't know, but it does seem like this video footage might be the best evidence so far, and it shows why it is just so important to have these cameras.
You know, we're never shown this guy smashing the camera, getting rid of the camera. Potentially, there's much more in there that they're not revealing to us.
You know, there's a treasure
there
trove
certainly
with
is.
the video.
Oh, go ahead, Kurt.
Sorry, Kurt.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that was Jamie Siminoff. He's the guy who invented the Ring doorbell. He knows his stuff when we're talking about video doorbell cameras. But for clarity, the one that was used at the Guthrie residence is actually now owned by Google, and it's a Nest one. He's not going to have to take a hammer to it to get it off there. He's just going to have to snap it, sort of lift and snap it right off. And that's what I understand. The latest intel we have is that it was taken away from the scene. The FBI and sheriff are not telling us details related to that, but what we know is, yes, indeed, that video is extraordinarily important. And even the video that we're seeing now on the screen, I would imagine by now, that with the FBI's tools, they will have enhanced this even more and more using AI that enables them to pull stills out of it to give some real sharpness to some of these images and create some high resolution footage that let us get into the details and understanding, even starting to define, okay, what potentially, we now know what the backpack manufacturer is from Walmart. Well, what might be in the backpack? And AI is extraordinary at taking wild guesses by assembling a lot of data, pouring it in there and seeing if it can guess in the right direction a lot of the other aspects of this suspect who was videotaped at the front door. Well,
and I also find it interesting, Bernard, you know, this ask for more video came kind of late, and maybe it's not late when you're an investigative official. But they're asking for video now from neighbors and people who live within this 2-mile radius. And I don't know if guys, if we can pull up that TMZ video, the video that was sent into TMZ, if we have it. There's more video that's coming in, and at least to TMZ, that shows somebody that looks similar. I mean, somebody that, you know, doesn't have a mask on, but is wearing something similar. Does that read to you that this may have been a case of where this neighborhood or this area had a burglary problem, or someone was going around hitting up homes, that this was random when this guy came across Nancy Guthrie's house?
Possibly, but I see the approach on asking for video as very tactical for the service of the investigation, because they're dealing with a paradox with a possible kidnapping. You have to treat it like a homicide, but you have a living victim. And so they have to run down every possible thing, like having access to the video themselves before they do anything public. When they finally go public with something like this, it's to generate tips, and it's to generate tips that they have to process at a very rapid level and yield the best fruit from it. And of course, it's many times it'll be something where somebody will recognize, for example, and say, that jacket, my landscaper had that, he hangs it on the back of his truck. And so they have to balance between being able to run down and possibly get ahead of whoever's doing this and rescue her, but secondly, to yield the potential public information. So they probably want to do all their contact interviews, door knocks, and all of those things before they were openly asking necessarily for footage. But now that they think possibly that they had transport in the area of this, that's really going to prove useful.
Kurt, how are you hoping the FBI and local law enforcement use AI in this case? I mean, I've heard you can use AIs to even though this person's wearing a mask, maybe you can try to figure out not exact facial recognition, but maybe what this person's facial structure might look like.
There's a lot that AI could do. In fact, you know, it's not necessarily what that one video shows, but it could be a lot of evidence coming in from miles away. For example, the video you're talking about that sort of surfaced with Harvey Levin on TMZ, that was a suspect, I mean, a person of interest, we'll call it, at about 6.5 miles from the Guthrie house, who was suspiciously backing up to the camera as not to be noticed.
Let's put it back up.
And, you know,
it's so interesting because he's doing the same thing. He's trying to block the camera instead of just, you know, if it's my gut instinct, I'm just going to knock it off.
Well, it will have captured you going up to the camera by then. So what he's trying to do is back up to it so his face isn't being shown. And the video there, I mean, it was odd. But then if you compare the two, you know, I'm not an investigator, but I looked at the two and I said, well, yeah, that body shape, that movement, that build kind of looks like it could be that person. Whether that has been confirmed or not is another story. I think this is a new development in it that just surfaced yesterday afternoon. But I think what we're underestimating is what's going on right now by dozens, if not hundreds, of investigators, especially at the FBI. And that is 41 cell phone towers exist within 3 miles of Nancy Guthrie's house. In addition, throughout Tucson, while they're not as condensed as an urban market, there are in excess of 200 license plate readers that are throughout the city. Now we're asking for doorbell footage. And why? Well, I mean, it could just be a slight image moving by at 2 in the morning. And if it's picked up on a house that maybe, say, 0.8 miles away, then again at another house seconds later, you can say, okay, I've got a strange vehicle moving in a particular direction. We know that the homes are offset from the roads and very difficult to ping that and see exactly clearly. But just an image of something could prove very, very useful.
It can help the timeline, which is so critical when you want to go prosecute. Bernard, Kurt, thank you very much for your expertise.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.